Hello.
Hello, Teacher Bruna. I hope I
How are
pronounce your
you?
name correctly. Is that Bruna? Bruna?
Yes, 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 that's it. And what about you? I'm sorry, but I can't pronounce your name.
My name is my name is Meysam.
Meysam.
Exact,
Meysam.
exactly. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I'm kind of excited and a little bit nervous,
Yeah, that
but
is natural. Cool. So let's dive into the questions very quickly, and then
okay.
uh, speaking of motivation,
Yeah.
how can we motivate language learners?
Well, I'm gonna be honest, okay, in these questions. I think the motivation is something like really personal. I think that we are motivated by our goals. So we have to have a goal. And but I think that the teachers they have an important part in this whole process. And I think like teaching properly and doing with a lot of love and caring about all your students, it's a nice way to motivate and showing them the importance to speak English, because nowadays it's really important. So I think it's a nice way to motivate these young learners.
Yes, it can be, of course. And what is the difference between young learners and adults?
Like teaching them.
Generally speaking, in terms of psychology, in terms of how can I say, yes, as you said, teaching style, or yeah, in general, generally speaking.
Well, I've been working with teenagers and adults for like a short time, because right now I only teach kids. And but I had a short experience, and I don't know that much this difference. I think that young learners are like easier,
Mhm.
because they don't have, like these, I don't know, like these preconcepts. They just wanted to learn and that's it. They don't ask you like a lot of things, and I think it's like easier to teach them. But I didn't see that difference.
Mhm.
Was kind of the same.
Yeah, exactly. Both of them are human beings.
Yeah.
Okay. What are the probable problems of students while they are studying and learning?
I think the problem in this process of learning English is the anxiety. They want to start learning today and they want to speak fluently tomorrow, and it's not how it happens. You have to study for like years and years. You have to dedicate all your time for it. So I think the anxiety is like the biggest problem learning English.
Yeah, cool. Exactly. Exactly. And what sort of material would you recommend them to use, generally speaking?
Like apps and books, and I think that studying it's not that, like that funny thing to do. So we have to match the things we like with the studying part.
Mm.
I always loved listening to songs and watching series and movies. So I think that we have to match the things we like. For example, if you like reading books, you can learn by reading it. If you like listening to music, you can learn by listening to music. So I would recommend the things that this person likes. What about you? What did you like? What did you match with your studying?
Of course, you're totally correct. Every student has his or her own, how can I say, abilities as well as interest, hobbies, etc., etc. So, as you said, some students really, how can I say, start to learn easily and easier by, for example, music, right? By
Yeah.
listening, by memorizing lyrics. Some people, how can I say, do want to participate in games. So in that case, I try to actually apply gamifications, like interactive games, or there are plenty of websites. The most popular one is Kahoot. Most probably you have heard about it. Have you heard Kahoot?
Yeah. Yes, I use it all the time.
I mean, everybody loves it, so that we can apply these stuff to students. Yeah, there are of course
Yeah.
a lot, but I just wanted to know your personal opinion about it. Very cliche question. I bet you receive this question a lot. Grammar or vocabulary? Which one, teacher? Grammar is grammar important? Is vocabulary important? Which one is how can I say outweighs the other one in terms of importance? And why? Plus, how can learners improve their grammar and vocabulary? What are the styles, techniques that again you sorry you may recommend them?
Well, I think that both are really important.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the idea of I'm just going to study vocabulary and like not caring about grammar, because I think that both are really really important. So for me, the best way to learn is putting both together and learning both together. So I really love both, and I'm crazy about grammar. I love grammar, so I think this is nice. And practicing. Practicing. I think that the best way to learn is practicing, because if you study only on your notebooks, on in the computer, sometimes you are going to speak English, but then it doesn't happen. You get nervous. So I think you have to practice. And don't be shy. Don't be shy, because mistakes are normal and we learn from it. So I think practicing is the best way.
Exactly, definitely correct. Very concise and correct. And okay, a cool question. How did you personally learn English?
Well, I first started learning English by myself. When I was 14, I was watching Supernatural. Do you know it?
Of course, I know. Yeah, I am not
And
following it, but I
I
know
think
it.
everybody knows it. And I fell in love with the language. I said, gosh, I have to speak this language. I have to understand. It's beautiful. And then from that day on, I decided to learn it. And then I was too young, and I started learning by myself, listening to music, looking for the words on the internet, and watching the series and movies and doing everything by myself. And then I started the course. Mm-hmm. And I decided to be a teacher, because I wanted to help people learning English, because for me it's so awesome speaking English. It's so good. It's something so special that I wanted to take it for like all my students. So
that is more of a magical power or something.
Yeah.
And it says that, is it possible to learn multiple languages at the same time? Would you recommend that?
Well, I'm sure it's possible. But for example, for me, I wouldn't do that, because I'm the kind of person that I have to study one thing at a time. If I'm learning English, I'm going to focus on English, and I'm going to be sure that I'm learning everything perfectly. So I think it's possible. I wouldn't do that, because I think that it's not my thing. It's like not my cup of tea of learning. Mm-hmm. But I think it's possible.
It's possible. Mm-hmm. I see. Yeah. And very, very cliche question as usual. How can learners actually improve their speaking abilities?
Speaking, and there is the technique, the shadowing technique. I think it's also a good way to learn English by yourself. It's a good way to study by yourself. And, like look for people because, for example, here in Brazil, it's hard to find people that actually speak English. It's really hard. And I had this problem when I was learning. So in my course, I would, like enjoy every single minute to speak English with my teacher. And because I had nobody to talk to me, to speak to me in English. So I was enjoying every single second and minute. And these techniques, I think that they really help. The shadowing technique, and I think singing is also a good way of improving your speaking skills.
Can you sing?
I'm sorry, what?
Can you sing?
I can't, but I do. When I'm taking a shower, I love singing, but I am a terrible singer.
I see. Okay. And accent and pronunciation, which one is important in terms of accents? American English, British English? In general, what do you think about this topic?
I think that both are like really different, and it's important to know the meaning of each. Accent is something normal that if we are not natives, we are going to have accent. It's normal. But the pronunciation is really important. It's something that I always tell my students. For example, the TH, it's really hard because we don't have this sound in Portuguese. So for them, it's like the hardest thing to learn.
Yeah.
But this part of pronunciation is important because you can change the meaning of what you're saying. For example, number 3 and 3 and 3. So pronunciation, it's something like different. You have to care about it. You have to pay attention on the way you are pronouncing. But the accent, it's something normal. We are going to have it. I have it. You have it. And I think
everybody
that most of the yes, and it's something really normal and acceptable and beautiful.
And beautiful, yes, exactly. Very nice. Is it possible to learn English without going abroad?
Oh, yes. I have never traveled abroad yet, but I'm going when this coronavirus is away. I'm going to travel,
Hopefully.
but I learned by myself, so it's totally possible. You just have to take it serious and do your best, and it's totally possible. Totally.
I see, exactly.
Yes.
I mean, everything depends on us as language learners. I would say language users. I always say, I always tell my students that you have the opportunity, you have the internet, you have fast internet connections, you have fast or high speed, telephones. So why you are not using this stuff, right? I mean, why you are not using this stuff if you have a purpose, which is learning English? You can use it, right? There are a lot of techniques. I don't want to talk about them, but of course, I would say you need to change the language of your telephone into English. You have to push yourself, submerge yourself into English, right? So this is one of the techniques. As you said, for example, we have Zoom conversations, we have Instagram lives, we have YouTube, this, that. So why not? I mean, people should do it if they have a purpose. They need to do that, right? Of course, it is possible.
Yeah, and also, the other thing that I was thinking the other day, that there are people that they wanted to speak English, they wanted to learn, but they always say, but I don't have money, I don't have time. And then I see like a whole world on the internet, and you have a bunch of things. There is like my profile, your profile, like there are a bunch of tips that you can learn from it. So You don't have to have money now to take a course. I know it's important, but you can learn. You can do it. Enjoy the things you have. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And okay, how long will it take for a person to learn every necessary element of the language to speak it properly, or let's say in a reasonable way? How long will it take? Because they keep asking, how long will it take? When will I, how can I say, start to speak English fluently? So what is your answer about this?
I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure because I think that it's like too personal, For example, there are people that learn, like fast, and in 1 year they are like speaking everything and they are like doing it great. And there are people that take like longer to learn. So I think it's personal, but 1 year and a half, I think it's enough, to learn the main things about English, how to ask something, to order something. If you travel, I think 1 year and a half, it's a good time to learn the basic stuff to start speaking English.
Exactly, yes. Well, at least a year, as you said. Sure. And final question. It says here,
Okay.
technology and education. What do you think about the integration of technology into education? Do you think that this idea is useful or harmful, or what are the consequences? What do you think about this?
I think it's awesome. I think that we have to match both because things are changing all the time, and technology, it's, in our lives, in all the things we do. So I think that the way we teach needs to change and, like follow all these evolutions. So, and we have a bunch of things that can help us, like teaching the students. For example, Kahoot, my students, they love it, they get crazy about it. For example, Zoom, now that I am using every single day because I can't, like work there at school, so I have to teach here. And I think like it's a great way, it's a great thing, it's a great match. I totally agree with, like this combination.
Excellent. Me too. Me too. Very good, teacher. Thank you very much for, how can I say, joining my conference. It was
Thank
really
you.
cool exchanging, knowledge and, sharing our experiences.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's say goodbye to our audience on YouTube.
Okay, bye. Thank you. Don't forget to follow me on YouTube and Instagram.
Cool, of course. Take care of
Thank
yourself.
you for
Have a
inviting
good time.
me.
My pleasure.
And
My
it
pleasure.
was awesome. Thanks for this
It was my
invitation.
honor. Thank you very
I
much.
loved the interview. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. See you.
Bye. See ya.